So today, Tea Talk with Christian. I think how we get to know each other is through your enthusiasm and positivity, and really always reaching out to us and saying, "Guys, here, look my
Let's
beauty."
go.
So welcome to the show. I think super interesting. I think also if I look on your personality, it's quite a journey you have done also through your life. And I think if you start with journey, it's a little bit, you're originally from Germany, but you moved to the US. It's not a common thing to do, even though many of us dream about it, to move to a foreign country, and many of us stay at home finally and live our lives, depending on how life guides us. How did it come for you kind of to get more in this international setup or in this international living that you're having now at the moment?
So for me personally, so I grew up in a small town in Germany, about 100 kilometers outside of Munich. If anybody who watches this knows where this is, yeah, it's called Nittenau, and it's a tiny little village. Has 10,000 people, very rural, and I've always wanted to kind of like be creative or kind of break out of this like limited mindset of sometimes on the countryside that exists. And so I was always kind of like had this drive for like looking for something different. And I grew up in a family where, like an entrepreneur family, we import mushrooms from Eastern Europe and we sell them in Germany. So it's kind of like a merchant's family. And it was a very busy lifestyle, especially in the summer. Because summer is the seasons of mushrooms, chanterelles, Steinpilze, things like that. And so I always helped my parents out in their business, but I always saw them so stressed out, and I was like, we have everything that we need to be happy in life, but they're still not happy. So this like basic desire evolved in myself. What makes people happy? Because nobody teaches you, you know. And then I graduated from high school. I went to Munich to study, which was kind of like the biggest city around in the perimeter. And that really opened up my world. I went to business school, studied international business. I noticed I don't want to do business so much as I want to be creative. So I started being creative, and I started doing post-it artworks. So, artworks with sticky notes, and made faces and shapes, and, kind of like, it was really funny because Steve Jobs died back then. I think it was 2011 or something like that.
11, yeah, exactly.
And he was a big inspiration of mine. And I said, I have to do something that's like, I don't know, that's cool. That's kind of like a tribute from me to him. And so I created his face out of sticky notes on an Apple store. And it went viral, and people were just like so taken about it, because it's just art, it's just beautiful. You're not trying to sell something, or just just do it for the expression of it, right?
Where did you do that?
In Munich.
In Munich at the Apple Store. So how did it get to that? Like, did they ask you to do it, or did you just go there and said, "Hey, the guys are gonna do that. Do you like
it?" Exactly. And that's exactly how it was. When you're bold, when you're young, whatever you want in life, just go do it. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, I want to do this. And I asked them for permission, a week before. They said, sure. They were thinking of like 10 little Post-it squares, or, something like that. But it covered the entire storefront of the Apple Store, which was about 18 feet high, also 7 Meter hoch. And bro, it was incredible. I had no idea how to do it. I asked my friend from school, hey, do you know how to do this in Photoshop? Because I have no idea from Photoshop. Now I use Photoshop every day because I'm a designer, like kind of like how life works. But it was amazing how it worked, and people loved it, and they wrote their names on the Post-its, and we stuck it on there. And at the end, it made his face. I don't remember if you remember the picture that he has like this with the thumb like this.
Yeah.
Remember Steve Jobs like this? Yeah. That's the one we took, and we posterized it, we pixelated it, and we, did it in. You can still Google it. Steve Jobs Post-it portrait, something like that. You'll find it, because it was featured in Mashable and different tech blogs. So that was really funny, because that was a big breakthrough for me. I saw I could really have an impact in the world by doing something that's creative and that's beautiful. So for me, that was a big breakthrough. It's like, wow, that's that seemed to impact people, which is beautiful. It doesn't, not only like it's not there to make money, it just impacts people and changes people's lives. And I was like, wow, that's so beautiful. So I, kind of was like, wow, creativity is kind of like the path I want to go. I don't want to do so much, business stuff. And again, I was interested in what makes people happy. So I was like, okay, let me apply Google, because back then it seemed like that was the happiest company to be at. And so I did an internship. I'm gonna make some green tea here.
You're gonna make some green tea too. So I'm drinking
Yes,
Buchicha today. Kamairicha, same farmer we're drinking. I'm just drinking his chicha.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
later
a little bit.
We can talk tea later a little bit. Just one thing I have to, just like interlude at the beginning of the talk is like, I keep all my tea packages, and actually, I actually rate them. I write my rating there. For example, this one was a 9 out of 10. I love this one.
Yeah.
This was amazing. This one got an 8 out of 10. Because so I know later which one to buy again, because I have the tea subscription, which is amazing. I don't have to worry about picking stuff. This one got a 6 out of 10.
Yeah. Okay.
And this one, Fukamushi, got a 7 out of 10.
Yeah.
So I like to keep the packages because it really helps me later to like buy them again. And
nice.
I think that's
a good idea. So anybody.
I mean, you know your teas, it's your company, but you forget. Plus, you get with the tea subscription, you get 2 of these packages each month. So you forget easily which one was the good one, Yeah. And so yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay, I have to show this. Woo! Look at this.
Oh, nice.
So good.
Yeah, that's a great tea now.
I love watching the tea leaves expand. Like in the morning when I sit down, it's like, magic.
Yeah, roasted teas in winter are great. But let's talk tea later. Let's go on a little bit.
Let's first continue with the stories. I think it's really funny. I love hearing people's stories because everybody's. It's exciting what people have to share about their life and how they got to where they are. And so yeah, I was very interested in happiness. I applied for an internship at Google because I thought, if anybody can be happy in a planet in a corporate environment, it has to be Google. So I went to Google and I found out that I wasn't really, didn't really fulfill me. It was fun, it was cool, free lunch, free massages, creative colleagues, but I couldn't be the artist I wanted to be. You still had to cater to somebody else's agenda and fulfill their objectives and things like that. I was like, this feels
What did you do there? Was it kind of already web design and stuff like that? Or what did you do there?
No, because I came from a business background. I studied business. They wouldn't put me in like a design thing, which is actually what I wanted. But it was like, you don't really have background for that stuff. So I was, the first internship I was in sales in Germany, in Hamburg. And the second internship I was in London in marketing, event marketing. And so that was really cool. I loved the creative environment, but I saw people who were there for a couple of years. I was there like 3 to 5 years, and I saw how all the creativity, because everybody's like special, It's like people like you and me. Everybody has their own unique gift, and they not only do they have it because everybody has a unique gift, but they've also discovered it for themselves, which makes a big difference because that makes you act on it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So a lot of these, like I would say, everybody at Google discovered that they have a spark of some sort. They're special people there. But throughout the years, you lose that because you tend to invest all your energy into Google, and you just, you don't paint as much anymore by yourself, or things like that. So I was like, it's not an environment I can be in, or I want to be in for a longer term. It was great for the time being. And so I was like, let me see what else is out there. So I kept on searching, and I said, after my university with my best friend, I said, let's go to the US, because he was Californian. I lived with him. I was my roommate back in Munich. We said, let's go onto a road trip and ask 1,000 people what makes them happy. So we surveyed 1,000 people on a piece of paper, divided their life into 8 areas: health, wealth, family and friends, playtime and hobbies, career, spirituality, things like that. and we asked them from 1 to 10, how happy are you with your health, wealth,
Mhm.
family and friends, blah, 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 things like that. And what I wanted to find out is, what are people that are above average happy investing their time into? Which of these areas are kind of like, what do they draw their happiness from? So I asked them a follow-up question, which was, what's your overall happiness? And then with all the results, I looked at the people who had overall happiness from 8 to 10 and looked at what they were valuing, or what they were doing differently. And the result was that from these 1,000 people across the United States in different cities that we asked, because we did like a road trip with 12,000-mile road trip with our little bus. It was super fun. And it came out that people who were above average happy had invested above average time in family and friends, playtime and hobbies, and spirituality. And back then, I was 22. I was like, family and friends, I was like, yeah, they can wait. I want to be successful, make money. And then playtime and hobbies, have enough of that. And spirituality, what is that? And that was a time where spirituality became really present in my life. And I was like, okay, well, I guess, I started reading Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now, being present, and I feel a lot of these spiritual philosophies converge with tea or Zen in a way that it's all about, being present,
Yeah.
and that's really, I feel that's a part of, like, it's part of my spirituality to drink tea, because it just, brings you to the moment,
Yeah.
being
Centers
here.
you. Yeah.
So I after that road trip in the US, I was like, well, I don't know, I don't feel like working for a corporation. It can't be, it's not it,
Can I go
so
back on the spirituality? What
yeah.
maybe people kind of spirituality can be very broad. When people were talking about spirituality, what did they mention? The above average happy people, kind of, if you were talking about
Well,
spirituality.
see, we did a very superficial survey, right?
Mm,
We only had quantitative data versus
mhm,
qualitative data.
mm,
So we asked them literally just in these 8 areas from 1 to 10. But
yeah,
whatever spirituality meant for them, it obviously means
yeah,
somebody else for everybody else, right? Just like happiness means a little bit something else for everybody else.
yeah, yeah.
But we just wanted to find out the direction. What is it that's a healthy ingredient for life that brings you contentment and peace?
Mhm,
So spirituality was one of them. However you define spirituality, you can live your spiritual life however you want.
mhm. And on the
And I think that's
qualitative
the beauty of
side,
it.
so this is the quant side. If you go on the qualitative side, out of your perspective, what did you take out of these tips? Because I guess you also talked to these people. You did the survey with them, but you also talked to them. What was a
Yeah,
little bit your takeaway?
I think what I noticed talking to those people, the people who, because for somebody, we asked for spirituality, but somebody, a lot of people interpret it as religion, because somebody is religious or somebody is spiritual,
Mhm,
But what I noticed is that you can feel in people's energy how free they are, you know what I mean? And I feel sometimes religion can be a little bit dogmatic and
mhm,
give you ideas that, I don't know, you're wrong or you're not living the right concept of life. Whereas
mhm,
spirituality is very free. You
mhm,
can do whatever you want,
mhm,
just, be a good person, be nice to people. And that's pretty much it,
yeah,
So for me, that also confirmed the fact that I want, like, that religion is, I don't know, like a little bit, why do you need ideas and ideologies? You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Just be who you are, be beautiful, be happy, be kind to others. Everything else comes,
Mhm.
Love is, if you make love your religion, I think that's the best way to explain it.
And then since you did the trip until now, what do you think? Because people were saying these three things: relationship, spirituality, and the third one was
The first, it was family and
family and
friends,
friends. Exactly.
playtime and hobbies,
Yeah,
and spirituality.
exactly. So now that you're here, sitting here
So
now with the experience of your life, has it leveled out a little bit, these three areas for you? Or do you still believe like spirituality for you is the main driver for the happiness you're living in the day to day?
I would say absolutely yes. Also, one thing at the same time I've noticed,
Mhm.
if you don't have like money or very little, it's not fun at all. You know, I was after the road trip, I started traveling across the world, like around the world, and I was always living on very tiny budgets, and it wasn't fun. But
Mhm.
then now I make a lot of money, and I noticed that it doesn't really make me that much happier. You know what I mean? I'm just that much busier. You know, but
Yeah.
like the constants that really bring me like constant flow of like
Mm.
contentment and peace is definitely family and connection. You know, playtime is so has become so rare because once you have your business going and things like that,
Mm.
playtime. When was the last time I played tennis? Heck, I don't know. You know,
Yeah.
and and then spirituality, that is with me every day. Every day I meditate,
Yeah.
and every day I do yoga. So there's a lot of that on the inside that you can pour into your own cup every day.
Yeah. And for the cup, I heard that expression already. Um, the questions for me is a little bit like I do not meditate. I do not do a lot of spiritual stuff, but I'm still very fulfilled. But this is mainly driven by the I do really something that I really love in terms of my job and my day to day. I kind of sometimes I used to be overworked when I was younger in my career, but now I'm kind of burned out. Not that I had a burnout, but like that you feel like really exhausted. And I do not have this anymore in the terms that I feel mentally exhausted, but maybe just physically you feel that you have given everything today, and now it's just the batteries are empty. You gotta pack your stuff and maybe go to bed.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel the same way. I'm like, wow. I don't know why I feel like sore today. I didn't even
Yeah.
work out or something. But when you like have a hard work day, like, oh, okay, I did stuff. So I think you're just like you're a person who's very connected to their purpose and passion, you know,
Hmm.
and that comes back to the inside. So you live your life from the inside out, right? Because
Hmm.
that really fuels you up.
Yeah.
And in a way, you know, whether you call it spiritual or not, I feel there's a quite spiritual
Mhm.
component to it, you
Okay.
know, because
Because then you
spirituality
okay.
doesn't really have to be meditation and yoga, you know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
But if you I think if you stay present and you like what you do, like you keep yourself in a good energetic
Mhm.
field that just
Mhm.
carries you forward, you know,
Mhm.
and that in a sense is your own. You're living your own religion in a way, your own spirituality, even though
Okay. So
you
actually,
might not call it. You understand? But
yeah. Well, I call it for me. It was always a little bit like this: being very close, living your life very close to your values and what is important, and kind of what things are very important for you. For example, you before when you talked about the spirituality being more giving the people more freedom for interpretation and for living, this for me was super important to hear that then instead of being in a religion, because I value freedom enormously. I really this is something which is highly important for me, and that's why I think this entrepreneurial lifestyle I'm starting to do. I still have a job, and normal, so I do this kind of in between. But there, I really found out this is super important for me, and I think it's coming kind of down to the things what is important for me, and that you really should look also for people who kind of develop this in you. Or if you don't have people, kind of a superior or a working colleague, or I don't know, a partner even, who's not developing this, then you start to kind of drift off in this exhaustive lifestyle where people often feel kind of burnt out because they're not living kind of in line in what they are actually what they're liking. Finally, it's like
yeah.
it sounds so simple, but it's not simple at all.
Well, I think I gave a talk. It's really funny because for this year I set the intention of, you know, I have my
Mm-hmm.
successful web design agency, but for this year it really set the intention to like do more speaking, and then like this came up like last year, and I was like, oh, you guys do tea talk? That's fun. I would love to sit on a, tea talk, whatever, and have some tea
Yeah.
and chat about life.
Yeah.
And then my former university, Munich Business School, reached out to me to give a talk in front of the alumni that are about to graduate
Yeah, I
one
saw
year
the
from now.
story. Yeah.
And I was like,
Yeah.
thank God I can, share my story that way, because all they hear all day long is KPMG, McKinsey, blah, blah, blah. I'm the consultant. You know what I mean? It's like they want to hear stuff like my story, because my story is so different. And I asked like all of them, the most important question is, what would you do if money was no object? And I followed this until I was like, okay, I followed it enough that I know what I want to do with my life. Now, how can I make this life also financially successful
Yeah.
and things like that? So I was like, so I chose the industry of web design because I thought that would combine those two worlds very well, the creative world and also, the financial. So again, I think in that passion, again, I can see that how when you're alone, it can become, there's a fine line always, like all virtues, there's always like black and white to it, right? So a passion can become an obsession, and with everything in life, too much can always lead down a darker path, you know what I mean? But everything has light and dark in life, so it's just a balance that you find for yourself. And I think like the most important question always is, what if money was no object, and what do you desire? Because that's what it comes down to. Like, why are you doing something that you don't want to do? Like, there's at least 50% people on this planet do something they don't want to do. At least.
Yeah. No, I agree. And finally, somehow I believe, but it's also hard, like for me, I grew up in the big companies. So I used to work for PepsiCo. I used to work for Nestle. So really these big guys. It was funny actually when I went into the world, my object was to travel. So to go in a big company and to kind of go to different countries and make the experience. And though I never went out of outside in another country to work, is kind of, I always saw them as well also as my kind of stepping stones to get to learn, because it is true, the big companies, they know a lot of stuff, they have a lot of experience. And then often then for me it was a little bit as a transition, and there were phases where I was really kind of, I knew it was not what I absolutely loved to do, but I knew it somehow. And now, especially after, if I look back now, it was really kind of a transition or a phase you have to go through. So this absolutely you can also do. You can decide, I want to acquire, I want to learn a certain skill, which I can learn in an environment maybe that doesn't suit me perfectly. And this is absolutely something you have to go through as well, is a little bit, where do you want to go? But I think that it's very, very hard, because you said, okay, money is no object, but then finally did you make a concession by moving into web design, by saying, okay, at least there is some money in there which keeps me on a base of kind of, I can survive easily? Or was it like, actually, this is what I want to do, and web design fits perfectly, so this is actually a perfect fit for me? Or was it kind of a little bit of a concession for you as well? Because to navigate this is also difficult.
Yeah,
right?
I know it's tricky. So for me, I think it was definitely a sort of compromise, because if I would have just if I would have fell off my own advice, if money was no object, I would have probably, I don't know, gone even further and done even more creative things. But there came a point in my life where there's, and like that's one thing that you can observe about your own life too, is like needs always trump values. So if my need to make money is bigger than my value to not have much, things like that, you know what I mean? It's always going to trump that. Or if my need to learn that skill is bigger than my value, than my value working at a startup or being an entrepreneur, they're like, oh, I'd rather learn that skill with Pepsi of how to do marketing. You know what I mean? So it's the need, and I think like more like whatever desire is bigger, you know. Maybe it wasn't a need, but maybe a very strong desire that was stronger than the value. So your strong desires, which needs are very strong desires, they overwrite your values.
And that, so you have to make the shift. That's
So
somehow, so you can let the needs be bigger for a certain amount of time, but in the long run, the values have to kind of overtake the needs. And then if you're living in that direction, then you actually can really achieve this kind of bliss. Is this a little bit what your interpretation is?
Yeah, I think so. Because, now I'm at a level where I make, a good amount of money, and I can really I can see how can I now in my life that I have with the financial basis that you kind of need in this capitalistic system that we've created in the 21st century. How can I now live according to my values? Because I think sometimes if you live just according to your values and don't care about the system, you need to opt out of the system. It's possible. I have friends who just like, they don't do taxes and stuff like that, but life is tricky, man. When you have family and you don't do taxes, in a country like America, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's easier if you go maybe to Guatemala or Bali or live somewhere else. Don't do your taxes, stuff like that. Try living there, somehow getting a permanent visa there. However you do it, but yeah, it's tricky because the system is very like, it loops you around the finger. I would love not to pay taxes. Who wants to pay taxes? What the fuck is my money? I make that money, So, but it's just like a thing of the system. So I guess on a very subconscious level, like it happens with your permission.
Yeah, exactly. So, it happens with your permission, and then the permission is given either by your values, and then you absolutely agreeing with it, or it's with your needs where you kind of agree.
I need to fit into the system because otherwise I get punishment.
Yeah. Okay.
Welcome to the world.
Yeah, it's always like this.
I think that the world in general, like, see, this world is dualistic. There's black and white, there's hot and cold. And we as humans, we're actually spiritual beings in a human body. So our spiritual side, the stuff that you can't see, like my soul, my energy, my character, like everything that kind of makes up my expression, the thing that you can't see, like that's who we really are. And all these limits, like bodies and all these like worldly forms, these are things that our spirit needs to get accustomed to. That's why as a child, like I see it now with my little one, he's like 3 years old, he's like, he doesn't know how to work with the emotions, or something this comes up, or anger or things like that. So they let it out, they throw things around. That's normal, because you need to like grow into, like, as a spirit, as a little tiny fresh soul, you need to grow into what it means to like, oh, I can hurt myself, or I can fall, because you don't know.
So you think that
the soul is limitless, but the world is duality. And I think that's where all the lessons come into place, is we as a soul are incarnated into a body, whichever body that is, and we came here to learn certain lessons, and we're going to attract certain lessons that we need to learn. And in a world that is dualistic, that is kind of like opposite to the nature of our soul is one. Our soul only knows one language, it's love. What teaches you everything that's not love is the world. And it's like,
I don't know. So actually what you say is like, from that your kind of love gets always confronted to the outside world, which is kind of pushing it also a little bit back, or what does it mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see you, for example, like Oliver, like the spirit of Oliver.
Yeah.
It is okay. Let's get a little woo-woo here. Is one with all things. right?
Mhm.
But then the body and the worldly experience of Oliver is like, well, I'm not freaking one with that teapot. I'm not one with the computer. There's a different person talking, so that's weird. But it's like it's learning, and I think it's also bringing these two back. Because we grow up and then we learn this system, this dualistic. Okay, I grew up in here, da da da. But then I feel as soon at a certain point, at least for my life, I was like, okay, I have to like reunite this. I have to. I want to I want to heal my spirit. I want to bring it back into like oneness and try to see everything with love and forgiveness. And whatever a person does, for example, if somebody crashes into your car and it totally was not your fault, it's I forgive that person because that person has a reason why they did certain things. Maybe they're calling for love, or if somebody steals something from you, they look at in what desperate situation that person could have been or is to do something like that.
Okay.
So everything people do is either love or a call for love.
And if you're able to live in that, then actually you say over time you will be more kind of in line of what you actually are, because you bring back kind of the love to your soul. Or
you live more in alignment with your spirit, with your true self. And I think that's I mean, I'm a very spiritual person. That's kind of the path I walk. I could do hedge funds and shit like that, but no, I want to explore that because it feels to me that there's something true about this stuff. You know what I mean? A lot of people might say, leave me alone. I want my boat. I want my plane. But it's about the depth of the depth of life, All right.
But I think there's
lifting this.
I think that I would even go further. It's like, I agree with you. It's like it's always this kind of mindset that people should acquire of kind of being empathetic to another person and being in line with this person. But on the end, it's kind of, yes, you can show all the understanding, but if people treat you well in the long run, it will not, or if people don't treat you well, in the long run, it will not help you. Just tell you to yourself, like, okay, everything is fine. It's kind of also your personal obligation to see what triggers in you this positivity. What are things actually you especially like, and what are environments where you, with your kind of house of how you constructed your personality and what are you in need of, especially there in this situation, you should live and try to live in this and really look for this. It's not only kind of being this positive and kind of graceful personality and understanding for all the others. It's also to understand yourself, what are situations you actually bloom in, and what are people you are looking for that are not only like-minded, but that can kind of pay in your most central values. And this is where actually, in my opinion, then when you give the need for something is in line with the value, then actually you can live really in this bliss, which is only a fraction of a second sometimes, and then you fall out a little bit and then you go back in. But the closer you are to it, I think this is also super important. It's not only this positivity and kind of positive versus others and being empathetic, but also try to understand what actually do you like to do.
Yeah.
What are people helping you, or what are people that can make you feel that way?
Yeah, absolutely.
Kind of a big learning. Like when I look also back on my career, and I think super important beside what you're choosing to do, so kind of factors like if you want to go into IT, or if you want to go into marketing, or if you want to go in construction, is that you also have to look at the person who is behind, who can be your boss or whoever is there, and does this person appeal to you? Could this be a person that actually you would like to hang around with for a long time? And this is super important. And nobody at this beginning, when I started, told me that. But this is very, very crucial, because I had two opposites. I had like a super bad boss who was completely emotionally insecure due to family backgrounds. And she always kind of put other people down, like making other people feel really bad about themselves. And if they did something right, it was either her idea or they were just lucky. And she expressed that. On the other hand, I had a boss who's giving complete freedom and really tells people and values them and gives them value in terms of, hey, you really did something good here. And to seeing these two extremes, I really came to the realization, finally, it's the person you work with or the thing you do, and the people who surround this thing you do, actually, that make you or don't make you happy. That's a little bit what
Yeah, no,
my
I mean,
conclusion was. Just I'm much more coming from a work perspective and doing perspective. You coming much more from the spiritual perspective, but kind of,
yeah,
I think these are two things that always link together.
yeah, absolutely. And I think one thing that comes to me when you say that is that you learn throughout life to set your boundaries, because yeah, you wanna, as a spiritual person, you wanna try and be positive and loving all the time, but you also at some point you learn, I need to set boundaries for myself, because otherwise I just get overridden by certain people, especially in a work environment. I mean, I've never worked longer than 6 months in a work kind of boss employee relationship. So I've always lived a very expansive, free life. I've never had to like report to anybody. You understand? But if you live in that environment, you're like, yeah, you need to adapt differently, because there's different hierarchies and things like that you need to like play with and fit into. Because otherwise you risk being fired. So it's always that line that you play with. But definitely, I think your story just shows how you've found these boundaries and found these alignments with certain people throughout your career.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, so let's talk a little bit tea. Let's move on. So,
let's talk tea.
Maybe you were talking before, maybe we can mix it a little bit together with the morning ritual. You were talking before about the morning ritual where tea is a part of it. So maybe walk me a little bit through how are you starting off? Is it in the beginning or is it in the evening mostly? Now we're morning time, so I guess you have your tea mostly morning time. But tell me a little bit, how actually do you go through living the spiritual side of your day? How you call it?
So I usually wake up at 6 o'clock, which gives me half an hour before my son wakes up. And me and my wife, we switch days that we take care of our son in the morning. So, Monday, Wednesday, Friday is her turn, and Tuesday, Thursday is my turn, and weekends we do it together. But that means I have Monday, Wednesday, Friday for myself that I know I don't need to, even if he would wake up, I wouldn't need to take care of him. So it's good to have that structure when you have children, because so helpful. So I wake up at 6, and then the first thing I do is I go down to the gym or the garage. I do my yoga and 10 minutes of meditation. So usually it takes me about, I would say 20, 25, 30 minutes. So that part is completed. And then my body just feels kind of like, awake and centered. And I go upstairs. Ari's probably awake by that time. I start making my tea, and I sit outside the balcony or go downstairs to have my cup of tea. And I mean, there's not much to talk about. It's fantastic tea. It's amazing. Every day you wake up and you're like, tea. There's something about it's really interesting how tea is like, it could have been anything, but no, it's tea. It's really, I love it.
Is it the first beverage you drink, or do you drink water and then you go down?
Yeah, I usually drink when I wake up 1 liter of water, and then do my yoga meditation routine, come back up and have some tea.
Oh, nice. 1 liter. Oh, that's quite. That's a good amount. Yeah. Is there any favorite you have so far in terms of tea, or is there kind of, you say, with the experience I have, these are the ones I like the most at that time, or is there anything you
I
kind
would
of?
say, I mean, I'm fairly new to the high quality Japanese green tea world.
Mhm.
It's a long word.
Yeah.
Um, but of course, I love Gyokuro. I do like Fukamushis too. I like those very much.
Hmm.
However, I just got this one, the
Yeah.
Kamaricha in the mail. So I have this for 2 weeks now, and I'm like, oh, that's a little bit more. I like them a little bit roasted because they're like pan
Yeah.
roasted instead
Yeah.
of just steamed. So I like that. Very nice. And also to mix it up, sometimes I really love genmaicha.
Yeah. I
Not all the
just. Yeah.
time, but at least once a week in the morning, instead of sencha or gyokuro or something else, is genmaicha.
Did you ever have a hojicha, fully roasted one?
Nope, I'm
This one?
waiting for my subscription.
Okay, good. It will come soon. I don't know by heart when the first time we will have that one included, but it will definitely arrive. Yeah.
There's a
Yeah.
hojicha in the subscription somewhere, right?
Yeah. 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 Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. We fit it
Yeah,
in.
I haven't tried a single hojicha yet.
Mm,
So
yeah.
that's another thing. And then sometimes, my parents send me stuff from Germany. So I
Yeah.
have this like
Yeah. Take Schwender. They're
the
quite good. Yeah. Yeah. I
yeah,
have them
and
too. Yeah.
this one is a jasmine tea that I quite like. I mean, I've never had any
Yeah.
better jasmine tea. This one is really, really great.
Oh, nice.
Um,
Yeah.
so I always tell them to send me, half a pound when they send me a parcel or something.
Ah, nice. Nice. So you don't buy in your area teas or anything?
Not at all. I just have the tea subscription, and my parents sent me stuff. That's it.
Okay. Good. So you supplied.
I'm supplied. I'm good. I'm good. Plus, most teas that you buy, I mean, the United States is a big market. Honestly, like, I mean, especially for neo teas,
Mm,
nobody does quality Japanese teas in the United States.
nice for you to
If
say.
you if you go to Whole Foods, if you go to there's something here in Florida called Seed to Table, which is a
Mm,
kind of like it's like a Whole Foods, and they make they make your
mm,
dinner. So you buy the steak
mm,
at the
mhm.
counter, and then they make it for you in the kitchen. You can sit down and eat with your family. It's like an open concept supermarket. It's really nice.
Yeah.
But in stores like that, a quality Japanese green tea,
Mm.
never seen it. Never seen it.
I can imagine that it's hard to also the scale is often very difficult because you still need for the people, I guess they always want to have the same quality, and maybe they're just too big to go to small, because often when you go to smaller farms, smaller family farms, often there you find really, really good qualities. Not that
It's always like that because you know why? The love.
yeah, maybe, yeah,
They
yeah,
put in the love.
yeah.
You don't get when you scale something,
Mm-hmm.
it gets lost.
Mm-hmm.
It's so hard to maintain that quality when you scale because I feel the love and the attention to detail, just like me, like with my web design business. Like right
Mm-hmm.
now, I have 3 people that I work with in as part of my agency, and it's hard to scale because like I make designs that are amazing, and my mission with Love Pixel Agency is to make love tangible. So whenever people visit a site that we've
Mm-hmm.
created, I want to have them feel, wow, this was like made with so much love. It's amazing. Like the thing moves and the image, it's like amazing. It's like an artwork. And
Yeah.
so to scale that is so much harder than to scale like a box, You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because in order to scale, you need to introduce systems, and systems always take away from creativity, from I don't know.
Yeah.
It's difficult. But yeah, I can see that with tea, absolutely.
Yeah.
But
Mm.
the teas that you have, let's say for example,
Yeah.
um,
The Kamairicha.
yeah, what's that farm's name? This one,
It's Mr. Isin. So the Isin
Mr. Isin.
family. Yeah.
So is this guy like? Could you scale with that guy, or is he probably too small?
No, they are quite small farm. They produce around they have 4 hectares, as far as we understand. Yeah, 4 hectares, which finally are. It's still a good amount of tea, but I think of this tea, maybe he produces 150, maybe 200 kilograms max.
Wow. Yeah, that's nothing.
Yeah.
Wow. And what's your partner's name that's here in Texas?
The Will.
Will.
Yeah, the
And
voice.
the voice.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't know. I just feel there's something about this brand, Neo Teas, because a lot of like people that I come in touch with, I don't know. It's like they take off after like a while. I don't know why. It's weird, but I feel Neo Teas. There's something special about Neo Teas. There's something special about you guys, and that's also the reason why I reached out. It's like, yeah, it's not just like a 0815, like a
Mhm.
standard
Yeah.
tea company that wants to sell something. I could feel the love, the attention to detail, the passion, how interested you were in green tea, how you
Mhm.
went to these farmers, how you made the effort. I mean, there's so much to it. And
Mhm.
the concept that you have with Neo Teas is amazing. Like
Mhm.
I'd love to see it grow. And however you think that I can support you, or you want to, ask my opinion for certain things, but I think the American tea market is
Mhm.
incredible.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing like this. I mean, it doesn't have to be this. It can. Americans usually they get all the crap. You get all the crap here in the United States. The milk is crap. The tomatoes are crap. The oranges are crap. Like even though they're grown in Florida, everything tastes like water. You know, to get something of this of quality into United States, the wine, same thing. Every wine is just like it's the waste of Europe gets shipped to United States, unless of course you start to pay 20, 50, $60 for a bottle, then we're talk quality.
Yeah.
But quality is expensive in the US. And I think
Mhm.
there's a great market for this type of tea here in the US because
Mhm.
people are drinking more and more tea. I think you observe the same development.
Mhm.
People moving away from coffee. Of course, there's American market is a big coffee market. People love their coffee, but there's the tea market in America is growing,
Mhm.
and I feel a quality green tea nowhere in sight because China, none of those are. Nah.
I think there are quite some dealers online which can source quite good quality, but I really think that somehow
Retail, retail.
I, I,
The idea that I had too here in Naples in Florida. I was like, because that was like the first month I got the tea subscription. I was like, I'm so excited about this green tea. I love Japanese green tea. I don't know,
yeah,
so I love it. And I was
yeah,
like, I'm gonna buy this like coffee bike.
mhm.
They have like the table where you
Yeah, yeah,
can put your little coffee machine. I'm gonna buy one of those. It's like $5,000. I'm gonna put it downtown on Fifth Avenue, and because it's a small little
yeah,
town center, and I'm just gonna serve tea to people. I'm just gonna
yeah,
give it away for free, and they're gonna
yeah,
love it because
yeah,
there's somebody there who does it with love and passion, and yeah,
yeah.
that would be so much fun. That'd be a great concept, by the way.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
if you
absolutely. But actually,
do
I
a
did.
tea bike in Austin, I'm telling you, you're gonna blow up over there.
Exactly, where people can just sit down, have a cup of tea together. Yeah. No, actually, I was working a long time now. Unfortunately, with COVID, I stopped it. But here in Switzerland, I was working on a farmers market. That's what I did, and then I sold the tea there. That's what I did. And yeah, it's just the good thing I think about the whole online is that we are able to get access to more people because it's just Japanese green tea. There's so many people are interested in tea and they maybe have to find a way into, but the tea aficionados, they're all around the country. And that's good that we can have a talk like we do now. I'm
Yeah,
here in Europe, you're there in the US, which is it's amazing, and we can connect. And this is actually what we want to. Well, I don't even know what exactly the main driver was, but I was just like, green tea is certainly something that will come more, and green tea is super interesting in terms of its variety, and then we just kind of took off. And Will is also very passionate about tea, and together we just try to give access not only to the physical product but also to explain what tea is about, because it's super difficult kind of to know what tea actually is, because tea finally is like wine. It
mm.
has many varieties, many different forms how you do it. sweet wine, or red wine, white wine, rosé wine. So that's the same. We have fully roasted tea. Then yours is semi-roasted tea. Then we have deep steamed tea, pan-fired tea. So all different varieties, and that's super interesting. But I think to find the farmers who really dedicate their life to that, and find farmers that also want to share their passion about organic farming, because the green tea industry in Japan is going down, because in Japan, actually, it's the other way around. The young people start to drink coffee and less green tea. And we are drinking more green tea and less coffee, or we try to find something beside our coffee to drink. And yeah, that's super interesting. And it's a super opportunity for us also ourselves to learn a lot about tea and then to share this. And I think that's a little bit our main passion points, where we say we like that.
Yeah,
It's
it's fantastic. I love it. And I think in the documentary you mentioned that, most of the tea sales in Japan are non-organic, but I think like of the entire production, I think 80% of the organic production of Japanese goes overseas, which is a big deal. People in America, when they drink tea, or especially high quality teas, they want it organic.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't really sell a non-organic tea in high quality. So that's fantastic, because over there nobody wants the organic. Here they want it. You know what I mean? Great market. I think it's a fantastic development.
Yeah, it's important, because it's so funny. I just read the other day from Belgium, and he's also living in Japan, and he says the same. He said the thing is, it's not that the Japanese are not interested into organic. They just say that their food is so good it doesn't need to be organic. That's a little bit the mindset. So it's actually a good thing, they think it's great. But finally, we just decided I decided at one point that I just didn't want to have any chemicals applied to the plants of the tea we source, and organic has to be the way. So that's just was my personal decision. And luckily, we in the West, we are looking more and more for this organic for these organic products, because actually we want to have more kind of pure or less treated food.
Yeah, I love it. I think what you guys are up to with Neo Teas has big potential.
Thank you.
I love it. I love supporting you guys, and it's an honor to be part of your journey. You guys really put out amazing quality. You put in the love of choosing the farmers of tea. There goes so much into that. And I really honor that. I think it's beautiful.
Thanks a lot. Highly appreciate it. And actually, it was a great talk.
Yeah, I think it was great. We covered a lot of ground, personal, spiritual, tea.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Good. So your favorite one so far? What did you already grade this tea actually?
I didn't rate it, but it's funny that you asked, because I was just thinking about it. I was like, if I would rate this one, I would give this one an 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
So this one is pretty high up. Germans are very anal with our ratings. We're not just giving out 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10. If everything's at 10 out of 10, then I don't need to rate it. So
okay.
But this one has been the best so far. This one. So if anybody doesn't have a tea yet, and you don't want to get a subscription, which I don't recommend, just get the subscription. I think is that the first that they get with the subscription?
It depends.
That's the first. I got. When you hop on. Okay, got it. So if you don't get the subscription, just get that one by itself. This one was amazing.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, it is one of our most favorite teas. People ordered this one besides the Fukamushi Yamaga the most. Yeah, these are the ones. This one. What's
the difference? What's the difference between the Kamaricha and Kukicha?
So Kukicha is a stem tea, which is mixed with green tea leaves.
Oh yeah.
And this one is semi-roasted. That's the difference.
I think this was a stem tea too. Karigane.
Yeah. The Karigane has less stems, and the Kukicha has more stems. That's the difference between these two.
Oh, that's good to know. I'm happy I got you on the phone here on the video here, because this head stems and this head stems, but they have different names. What's the difference?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
it's true.
so
Yeah.
Kukicha has
Mhm.
less stems or more stems than the
Kukicha is more, yeah. Kukicha is
Kukicha
often
has
is one of the lowest in caffeine because the stem ratio is quite high. And that's why with this tea, if you want to have a low caffeinated tea, this tea is great.
Okay, and then another question I had, Bencha.
Bancha.
What is Bancha? What is that?
It's actually tea which is coming from mature leaves. So it's also a low caffeine tea and it's also an
Okay.
alkalizing tea, which is quite interesting. I like to drink it after going to the gym or after sports. I often drink that just to kind of balance out my body a little bit. And it's super soft to the intestine. So it's quite a soft tea from coming from mature leaves. It's a little bit more earthy in terms of taste, like wooden earthy style. So a little bit going in the direction of genmaicha, but just without the rice. Often genmaicha is made out of bancha with the rice, with the roasted rice.
Oh, got it. And then another question I have is like about the temperature of the water, because I usually, I use something like this. You can't really put the temperature on that; it just boils.
Okay.
And I do like my tea hot because I usually, when I have my tea, I either go outside or sometimes sit in front of a computer and start reading emails, stuff like that. When I do one at lunchtime, but I like to stay it hot. But obviously, all these packages in the back said around 60, 70 degrees Celsius, which for me, man, it gets cold so quick.
Yeah, that's true. But I always have if you have a bottle like this where you keep the water warm, this is
that's a good
how
idea.
I do it.
And also sometimes what I do, I make a pot of tea of this one, of the jasmine, or whichever, it doesn't matter. And then sometimes in the morning I just drink maybe like 2-3 cups of this size, small size, could be one standard size cup, American, but what I do, there's usually a half left, and then after an hour or two, I come back, I boil some hot water, put it on top. It's a good hot temperature. It's not as hot as the boiling, but it's also not cold as what it's in here, so it's perfect. That's what I do sometimes too. That's why it kind of stretches the tea, which I like,
absolutely.
because sometimes I don't drink the whole thing in one sitting. It's nice to I let it stand there, sit there, whatever. I go off, do things.
But you can also just use the same tea over the whole day. That you just drink 1 or 2 cups in the morning, and then you just continue until the evening. That sometimes you can do 8, 9, 10 brewings. It's just that the taste goes down over time, but you can stretch it out definitely. What I heard was pretty funny when I was in the Iporo tea shop in Kyoto. When we had a tea session, then I asked her, so should we leave it overnight and can reuse it in the morning? And then she was like, oh, no. The bad spirits go during the night into the tea.
Love it.
So you can drink it all over the day, but not leave it overnight and then reuse it in the morning. I think that was a little bit the Japanese way of saying, okay, the tea can actually turn bad a little bit overnight, so don't let it sit there for too long. But it was very
That's funny. I've done that too. Yeah. It's funny. I love that. So what's anything? Is there anything that we can do, to support Neo Teas in a way? Can we maybe tag you on Instagram or something?
Yeah, the stories
fun?
help. If you like a tea, then just put it in your stories. We repost it. This helps us.
I do it all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, we love it. So I think we just have to spread the word of tea. So what you can do is just maybe post some tea session when you drink tea. You don't even have to mention us. You can also just say organic Japanese green tea. That's
no. Always mention you guys. You guys are amazing.
I think we just have to spread the word and see where it goes.
I think one thing too, people don't know that tea can be such a good quality. Because my friend is visiting from Austin right now. She likes green tea, but she buys like bagged green tea. The crap. And that's like the waste product of the tea production. And that's not even Japanese. That's another thing, like if people would start drinking bagged Japanese green tea, that would be probably an upgrade from, I don't know, it would double their tea experience. But all the crap and, stuff like, here and there. But man, I see a big market for Japanese green tea. We're going to talk again in 5 years, and you're going to sit in your mansion somewhere on a Japanese cliff in Kyoto. And I'm gonna be sitting in Bali with my yoga teacher.
Perfect, perfect. Well, maybe it's just a small apartment. I don't know about the house yet. I don't know about the mansion. But let's
Yeah,
see.
maybe
Yeah,
just
yeah. I'm curious to see where it
I
goes.
also had another idea. Here in Florida, there's so much like, jungle or like,
Mhm,
forest, but it looks like a jungle because it's not like a nadelbäume. It's just like,
mhm,
just like more jungle, tropical foliage.
mhm.
And another tea I had was like, just make a wooden structure with open windows, just like in Japan they have it, and then let people sit
Yeah,
on the floor and
yeah,
serve them tea and call it like jungle tea. There's so many fun ideas that came to me with tea because I was like, people need to experience this.
yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a different experience. Often
There's a,
what we hear, yeah, when you make the shift. Yeah,
it's like day and night, day
yeah,
and night.
yeah. Share tea with all your friends if you can. Share it and
I do. I've
introduce
already
them to
done
great tea. Yeah, yeah,
a couple tea ceremonies, and
yeah,
everybody loved it. You
yeah.
know.
Oh, nice. Yeah, like we did now, but we did it separate, but we did it. So thanks a lot, Christian, for this session. It was amazing, and I think we talk in the future
Absolutely.
for sure more, and maybe we do a second talk. Let's see where life
Yeah,
guides us. And
I'll send you a calendar invite for in 5 years, and then we'll sit down again.
good, let's do it. Let's do it. Perfect. Okay,
All right, bye,
and
Oliver.
take
Thank you
care.
so much for what you do,
Thanks a lot.
and yeah, you guys rock at Neo Teas, man. I love their
Thanks.
quality teas.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye,
Thanks a lot
guys.
for the talk. Bye bye.